bear in mind that this meeting is going to be recorded, and we may well use some of this material for our social media and publicity purposes. So just bear that in mind. This being an international club, please be aware that some different cultural sensibilities may come into play. Don't be deliberately offensive, I think, is the best way of putting it. And on that note, hand control to the club president, the one, the only. Here he is. Don't swoon, he's only human, believe it or not. Here's David Carr.
All right. Well, thank you, Graham. And I'm still getting used to the fact that he's throwing it over to me, so instead of the other way around. But thank you, Graham. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad we have some guests here tonight. We were talking a little bit with Carrie earlier, and Carla just came in. Maybe we'll get a chance to chat with you a little bit later. But welcome to Online Presenters, club dedicated towards sharing skills, developing skills for better webinars, online lectures, online things of all sorts. And
there she is.
There she is. We welcome you here tonight with our Toastmaster, Marianne Grady, about to take over and run the show. Marianne.
Why, hello, 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 and welcome, everybody. I'm so happy you're here. Tonight, our theme is Holiday Frenzy. And now as we're approaching the Christmas, Hanukkah, and many other holiday seasons, there's a lot going on. Why is it a frenzy? Isn't this a happy time? Well, for most of us, yes, but not for everyone. This time of year can be quite stressful and even depressing for some people. Why? Well, there's the shopping, finding that perfect gift. There's the cooking and the way too much eating. Graham's already got a jump on that. There's the relatives, the entertaining, the traveling, the budget blowing up. These things can create a lot of stress. And on top of those holiday-related things, there's war, political strife, and a whole array of situations that produce angst in our daily lives. And for some, it might be loneliness, loss, divorce, no money, missing family. Does anyone here experience stress or depression during the holidays? Okay, not too many, not too many. Okay, well, you're better than me. Tonight, I'm going to be giving you some tips to create peace and calm in your world, and I'd like to encourage you to help others to be calm at this joyous time of year as it gets underway. But first, let me tell you about our meeting and introduce you to our players today, the people who will help us facilitate this meeting. Our meeting is divided into 3 parts. The first part is prepared speakers. And these people are speaking generally from a path. They've selected a path of study, and there's projects along the way that they complete one by one. But it's all things that you select, and you get to speak about whatever you'd like. Next, we have table topics, which is impromptu speaking. And tonight, that will be handled by Mr. Mike Goodall. Then finally, we have the gift of feedback, our evaluation portion of the meeting. And we learn a lot during this, and this will be led by Mr. Jim Barber. Now, I'm going to let each of the helpers give you a very quick rundown on what they're doing tonight. So Timer Graham, tell us about what you're doing.
I'll be timing everything that happens, not because we are fixated on time, but because if you take too much time, then you're stealing it from somebody else in a limited meeting like this one. So when it is the minimum required, or at least the minimum suggested time for your event, a green screen will appear behind me. When you see the yellow, that means you should be wrapping up. And if you see the red, you have gone beyond your allotted time, and please sit down, shut up, and do so within 30 seconds. That's how I'll be showing the indication of timings.
Well, thank you, sir. Now next, the counter, Mr. Andy Byrne.
Thank you very much. The counter is the individual tasked to listening carefully throughout the entire meeting to see if people are using filler words instead of taking a pause to catch up with their thoughts. At the end of the meeting, during the evaluation section, I'll be called upon and I will share with everyone what everyone had done during their course of speaking. I look forward to reporting. Back to you.
Andy, would you be able to handle grammarian as well?
Sure.
And you want to tell people about that role?
The role of the grammarian is to listen carefully to sentence structure, appropriate wording, and to see if you can know the word of the day. Do we have a word of the day?
It is calm. It's in the chat.
Okay, I haven't gotten to there yet. The word is calm, and I look forward to hearing whether people are going to be using that word or using its opposite, chaos, where we're spending a lot of time in this country doing that and elsewhere in the world. But I will report back during the evaluation section.
Thanks, Andy. And we have our watcher, Henry.
Good evening, all. Thank you, Marianne. So the watcher's role is to watch the chat. If there's anything that somebody is missing, I will prompt them that there's something for them to read or to, if we need to get somebody's attention. So that's the watcher, and also to watch the screens. If everybody is presenting nicely on the screens, so I will report at the end of the meeting around that as well.
Well, you're in luck because I'm going to take some work off your plate and give it to Kim. So you do not have to watch the chat, only the screens. Kim Leeming will handle the chat for us.
Cool.
Is that my cue?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, everybody. I am your chat monitor for tonight. So as Marianne mentioned, I'll be watching the chat and talking about all the really fun conversations that strike up in the chat. And back to you, Marianne, Toastmaster of the Day.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Now, finally, our vote counter, Carolina Ramirez.
Hello, everyone. As a vote counter, I will put a link in the chat, and through that link, you could vote for your favorite best speaker, for your favorite impromptu speaker, and for your favorite evaluator. At the end of the meeting, I will announce the winners. Back to you, Marianne.
Oh, it's going to be a tough call. We have good everybody tonight. So next up, you know what's in store now. So let's just get started. Today, our tip of the day will be from one of our newer members, Gregory Bundschoks. Please welcome Greg.
So the tip of the day is brought to you as a result of some downtime that I ended up having to end up thinking about how we think. So hopefully this will end up being a little bit engaging with regards to how we think about the world around us. I'm a big fan of Dr. Wayne Dyer, and one of the quotes that he has in some of his one of his works is, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And even like we mentioned from Marianne at the start with the holiday frenzy that goes on, a lot of times you don't know which way you're going sometimes. It gets a little confusing. And it's one of the things that I always delve myself into are the dichotomies of life, are usually the opposites, black and white, up and down, conservative, Republicans, rich, poor, the glass half empty or the glass half full. And when we really start getting into the aspects of thinking about how we think, we have to recognize that with the brain as powerful as it is, and the mechanism of it is, it almost becomes easy to identify that this is actually our purpose of being. Because if you think that we have 100 billion neurons in our brain, and each of those neurons have a branch that ends up being connected to all other branches in our brain, this is what creates our experience in life. This is what creates our memories and that we end up drawing from. And these are what are called action potentials. And when we look at something that's new or adventurous, it's exciting. And this is what catches our attention. If we like the new, we pursue it. If we don't like the new, then we look for something next to stimulate us. And we have 60,000 thoughts that we end up thinking every single day. And my challenge to most of you is going to be, when you recognize this aspect of things, how many times are you thinking about something that's already happened versus something that's you're looking forward to or something that you're kind of striving towards? And when I start to think about, when you contemplate yourself surrounded by the conditions you wish to pursue, it's the new experiences that you find joy in life with. And as a consequence, you start thinking, what do I want out of life experience? And there's a few things that you typically have to end up doing as a result of those downtimes to realize how we spend our time to think. And the first thing ends up being is to envision what that desire is and to actually feel the experience of that desire. And then consequently focus on the end result with an unwavering vision to have that end feeling experienced. And then you have to want it more than not wanting it. So that's where your source of motivation ends up becoming. And you have to end up breaking some comfort zones and realistically just kind of get busy, because you can't score a goal when you're sitting on the bench. And if you're in any kind of a competition, if you're not scoring goals in the avenue you are, you either have to increase your skill level or maybe play a different game. Anyway, that's my tip for the day. Thank you very much, fellow Toastmasters.
I like how you think, sir. Wonderful tip of the day. Everyone got to stay on track. Think about what you want, and then you take action. So when it comes to stress, the first thing you need to do is acknowledge your feelings. It's normal to feel sad from a loss or when you're missing loved ones. It's okay to cry. A good idea may be to seek someone out to talk with. Chances are you're not alone. Online support groups can help, and another thought is for you to help others. Sometimes the best way to help ourselves is to help others. Consider volunteering and helping other groups. Now back to the meeting. Next up, our first speaker of the night, Kirthikka Devi Venkataram. Kirthikka has been moving rapidly in the Pathways program, and tonight she will present from the Dynamic Leadership Path Level 5, demonstrating expertise, which, by the way, she does every time she comes. Please welcome Kirthikka with her speech titled A Tale of Lucrative Leadership.
Thank you, Toastmaster Marian. This article was released in November 1990, where a panel of women expressed their perspective towards working, or the women of the 1990s, towards the first Oklahoma City professionals who gathered for a meet. The panel members consisted of the city manager, the city pediatrician and the gynecologist, and members from Southwest Airlines. They discussed women are naturals for participative management. Women already know how to listen, nurture, and empower. I belong to the millennials, a cohort of millennials, deriving unique being less in the number of family members, considering the fact from our predecessors. I nurture integrity, being trustworthy and coherent. In spite of being this fact, being curious and little adventurous, I started following the charismatic leaders of the popular media industry. More than the people who are on the screen in the media, I started following the people who are working and contributing behind the screen, especially the directors and screenplay writers, who are like outspoken differentiators, who are not only path breakers, but also path creators. Their obeisance towards work and the dedication towards the orchestration of work in a tough, unstable, financial returning industry, which is driven by audience, is mind-blowing. A noteworthy work by Steven Spielberg, where He always combines creativity with technology, innovating in his work. Here, I'm just a follower. Though I'm a pace-setting school leader, it's because of the fact I have to interact with the bureaucratic management. No surprise over here. Relating my millennial characteristics of being a multitasker, I nurtured being cohesive, cooperative, and collaborative in nature. This is during my school days. I was selected for one of the performance in arts and other cultural activities among 1,000 students. This was performed by a group of 8, and I was one among them. The collaborators and guests or dignitaries are pantheism, one among them, to prove and become one among them in the 1,000 members. Practicing and dedication on the academics and passion made me to move up there. The collaboration was ultimately successful, leading the millennials and following the Gen X, especially the bureaucrats. In contrast, corporate leadership was little tricky. Nobody welcomes you. Instead, you need to take your position because your action is economical. I just wanted to quote a small story over here. There was a kind-hearted king who made or created a palace with a wonderful pond. He created this and he wanted to show the people like how luxury life could be and made few golden brown swans to dwell into that. There were also other local birds which were dwelling around. These are golden brown swans that was like kind of created a sense of aggressiveness in them. They lived a luxurious life and gave the king in return a golden feather every month. One day, a migratory bird came to the place. It was helpless and it asked for the help to the other golden swans. It was pure golden color. Seeing the bird's beautiful nature, the other birds spoke among themselves that they need to drive this migratory bird out. What they did was they started to harm the migratory bird in the absence of the guards. This made the migratory bird to ask for the help of the king. The king, noticing all this, punished the golden brown swans, caged every single swan, and then he ultimately gave the same luxurious life to be led to the migratory bird. This is just a story, a bedtime story to my kid. But what do you learn as a leader, and what is the leadership skill that is being projected by the king? He has become an eternal king, an eternal leader, showing an altruistic nature. He not only empowered the migratory bird, but also emphasized harmony and teamwork. He possessed and showed affiliative leadership skills in him. So, who are you? Over to you, Mariam.
Oh, food for thought. Well, thank you, Kirthikka. Wonderful job tonight. Now, with regard to shopping, perfect gifts, the budget, you can set realistic expectations. And if you set a budget, stick to it. Shopping becomes more fun then. If cash is tight, consider handmade gifts or small donations to charities that are important to the people you're talking about. Instead of getting gifts for everyone, maybe you can draw names for a gift exchange and just buy one gift instead of something for everyone. Remember, it's not the presents that are important, it's your presence with your loved ones. Now we're going to go on to speaker 2, and you thought you were done with him, but no, speaker 2 is Gregory Bundschoks again. Gregory will also be speaking from the dynamic leadership path. He's on level 2, Mastering Fundamentals, Intro to Vocal Variety and Body Language. The title of Greg's speech is An Apple a Day to Keep the Doctor Away? There's a question mark at the end of that. When looking for ingestions the body needs, how much do we really appreciate what goes into being healthy? Put your hands together for Gregory Bundschoks, and his speech is An Apple a Day going to keep the doctor away?
So we always hear this question when we end up going and out in the regular world, and we're talking with our friends and family, and we end up coming with these little sound bites to end up saying, you know, is this actually healthy? And obviously when we end up starting to look at the dynamics of the chemical aspects of the living process, it's incredibly complicated. I mean, you start looking at it, and I mean, there's 100 beats of your heart on a daily basis. There's 100 miles of blood vessels in your body, and all this starts as a result of a union of 2 separate cells. So it's an incredibly magical and incredibly impressive thing when you start to recognize that it is just chemistry, and we are products of the environment, and it's based on an ingestion, what we consume, what we take in. That's the sum of human being. It's our nutrition, and it ends up being our information. So it's what we see, what we hear, what we touch, what we taste, and what we smell that end up helping us to become who and what we are. And when we start looking at that even a little bit deeper in a process of a cell, you start looking at 60% of the human cell that is based on proteins. So when we're looking at nutrition, we look at our proteins, which is based on our amino acids. We look at our carbohydrates, which is our starches and our sugars. We look at our fats and our lipids, which is encased in every cell of our human body. We look at the vitamins, the minerals, and also the water that makes this all happen. And so you start thinking, okay, well, what's in an apple? And when you really start doing your research and you start looking at the actual phytochemical analysis of what actually is in a food process an apple, you can really start to see very quickly that there's a whole lot of molecules that come into what we end up taking into the body temple. So one of the things that a lot of people I think are missing is the fact that there's 9 essential amino acids which we have to get from an external source. And if you start looking at an apple in general, it has a whole lot of good stuff in there, but as a whole food, it certainly is not, because it's missing like a phenylalanine, isolate, and leucine. And I'm not a scientist, so I can't pronounce them properly enough anyway, so that's why I have to put them on the board so everyone can see them as well. But they're important amino acids because they can influence other protein synthesis and affects things like mood and your brain, even your immunity, and how your blood ends up being created with the blood cells, how the human body functions. So one of the things that's interesting to me is actually breaking down this component right to its actual sources. So I've taken the information from the FAO, like the United Nations, and the CIA fact books, and World Bank, and USDA, Canada Stats, to end up breaking down food. So if we look at something like a raw apple, we look at just even if we look at it for a protein content. So if you look at protein, it has 0.17 grams of protein in it. And the protein requirement for an individual is 0.8 grams of kilograms per day. So if you weigh at approximately 65 kilograms, you need 55 grams of protein on a daily basis. So if we start asking the question, if does it keep the doctor away, we're only getting about 0.3% of daily protein need from an apple. Now, obviously, when you start you're not going to basically have your whole life living on an apple. And it obviously requires a whole lot of different chemistry inside there, as we'll end up getting to in a second. But when we start looking at it, the lack of knowledge of what goes into the body tempo and the lack of the desire and the motivation to end up implementing those things end up leading to poor choices and poor diets and typically a predetermined lifestyle. It's an off-purpose chemistry, and that's what leads to the sickness, illness, and disease of most people. So then we look at so much misinformation that exists out there, and then like when I started this, they say it's good for you. Well, who's they? See, I'm at a point now where I want to know why it works, how it works. I want you to prove it to me. You got to show me this, because there's no blind trust anymore of faith in my life. So, and it's not to be bitter, but it's just to basically be more informed. So the new knowledge with motivation for new experiences is an intentional choice to think, feel, and act better. You end up being on purpose with your chemistry, and you become healthy, which is free from sickness, illness, and disease. So if we end up looking at the idea of let food be thy medicine, as many of us have heard from before, it basically comes down to a healthy and an optimized metabolism. The quality of the ingestion is going to be determined by the quality of the individual. So as a consequence, I end up thinking that it should be something that we end up choosing our ingestions with a purpose to experience a new and better person or a better individual for ourselves. And I seem to have blown through that fairly quickly with regards to my time at the end. So I think this is pretty much it for my speech, unfortunately. So thank you very much, folks, for listening.
Well, thank you, Greg. That's super interesting to me. I'm trying to do better all the time with that diet. Now, how about cooking and eating? When you're entertaining, have people bring a dish so the onus is not just on you. When it comes to eating, well, I gotta say, those cookies have already started to invade my kitchen. And my advice is for you to enjoy them. But remember, you need to eat healthy meals too. And as you're planning your New Year's resolutions, make sure those extra pounds come off in January. Don't let them stick around. It's easy to deal with those pesky calories when you have a plan. Now, speaker 3, our fearless leader, both founding president and current president of online presenters, Mr. David F. Carr. David will be showing off some new and improved capabilities in WordPress. His speech is called The Power of Patterns. Please welcome David.
Thank you, Marianne. This is one of those speeches that is not quite the speech that I hoped to give when I signed up to speak last week. I thought that I was going to be unveiling a new theme, a new design option that would be available on the Toastmasters platform. And I'm not quite there yet, but I'm going to give you a little progress report, a little preview, and an idea of some things that I'm excited about and why. So most of you know that this is an ongoing obsession of mine. I run this platform called Toastmasters that is based on WordPress and is available for club leaders to come in and sign up and get themselves a website. And when you sign up for one of these websites, one of the first decisions you make is, what kind of theme do you want to use? Now, a theme is a design. It's a bundle of templates. It's a starting point for your website. So the idea is you're supposed to look at these little preview images and get an idea of, well, I'd like my website to look something like that. I'm going to change the pictures. I want to have things that are more personal, more in the character of my exact website. But this is a starting point. This is a reasonable starting point for me. And lately, I have been steering people somewhat urgently towards one of these first two themes. And I'm going to be adding some more, and I think probably retiring some of the older ones too, because there are things that are possible on the WordPress platform these days that were not possible, or at least not easy, a couple of years ago. Traditionally, when you chose a WordPress theme, the idea was, well, that's pretty close to what I want. Maybe I'll change a color or two. And then if you wanted to make a lot of changes, you need to go out and hire somebody who was a professional, or you need to learn a bunch of skills with HTML and CSS. And, well, I won't rattle off too many acronyms, but you need to learn some techie things to redesign a website. And it's still true that you should have some design sense. You should have some idea that you don't necessarily want to throw in the kitchen sink. You don't want to have a completely different look on every page of your site. Some consistency is a good idea. Some consistent colors, some consistent navigational elements so that people can find their way around your website. Those are things that you are still valuable. But if you move into one of the newer WordPress themes and you don't like something, you don't like what's at the top of the page or how large the pictures are, you can change all of those things. And I'm going to give you an example. This now this is not a particularly exciting looking website, but it has loaded on it the new theme for 2024, which is called WordPress 2024. The last one was called 2023. The Online Presenters website right now has a somewhat customized variation on 2023. But one of the things that is interesting here is you can build out relatively elaborate pages without necessarily having a lot of design skills yourself. So this is my dramatic page demo. If I go here to create a new page, now you can just start with a blank canvas if you want to, but when I go to new page, it is going to pop up some options for me. There we are. And so these are all things that we might do for a business homepage, or an about the company page, or about the leadership page. So, or if you were doing a photo gallery or a design gallery, maybe it's a home design gallery, you could plug one of these things in. And the one I picked was this. And so it gives me all these elements here. And this is laid out as if it was an architectural firm. Well, I'm not running an architectural firm, I'm running a Toastmasters club. But the idea is that I can go in and replace any of these images in more or less the same layout. So I'll put in something that is more suited towards talking about speaking to audiences and so forth. I can start changing the text, but I have at least sort of a template here that I can build off of. Now, some of the work I'm doing now is trying to take some of these WordPress themes that were popular. This is one called 2019 that a number of clubs use. The idea is you can have this big, bold image up top, and I'm sort of porting this over into the new framework. So this was created using 2024 as a starting point, and just adding the cover element block up top and saying that it should have a blue filter in front of it. So it's not quite the same effect, but it's on the way. This is a theme. This is the first one that I introduced. It was using some standard banner at the top of the page images that Toastmasters International had put out that were official and blessed. But this is really old. And so I wouldn't really recommend that people use that. But if you like that kind of a look, this is that same look ported over into this framework. And to create these, I'm actually using something called the site editor. And so this is where instead of just editing the content of an individual post, I can edit the whole design. Or at least I can if the page will load for me. Hello. Hello, Internet. And maybe it won't. Maybe am I logged out or something? Okay. Well, we could try with this one, maybe. Well, maybe WordPress doesn't like competing for resources with Zoom, which is one of the hazards of giving a demo in this mode. And all right. The point I was trying to make was that you can go in and you can change actually absolutely everything. You can use some of these starter templates. So there are starter templates called patterns. So you can have a pattern for just the header or just the footer of the page or just the middle of the page. Is it a page with a sidebar? All sorts of different design choices. You can plug and play and you'll be off to the races. I'm Toastmaster.
Thank you kindly, David. And, I have to say, I've worked with David a little bit on some of these things, and there is no one better at designing these websites than him. So if you have any thoughts of starting one of those pages up for one of your other clubs, work with them. You won't be sorry. Now it's time to get our best speaker. Graham, did David qualify?
I think David should stay calm, and we'll give him an extra 17 seconds because of the problems that happened with his technology, and say he made it via whooshka. He actually didn't, but that's all right. If we let David have an extra 20 seconds, then all three of our speakers are eligible.
Okay, Carolina will post a link in the chat, so please make sure you vote for your favorite speaker tonight. Now, there's a couple of general rules for stress management. Get enough sleep, learn to say no, try to exercise when possible, and set aside differences during family gatherings. Remember, you only have to deal with those crazy family members for just a very short time. Next up, we have table topics, and you are in for a treat. I always love when I work a meeting with Mike Woodall, because he is just hilarious, and he is going to lead our impromptu speaking session tonight. Please welcome Mike.
There you go. I swore that I was not going to forget to unmute myself before introduced. Well, that was quite a challenging introduction. You've really put me on the spot. So here we go. Let's kick this off in the interest of time. And I'm going to call on Jim Barber. So you might want to unmute yourself. Everybody has a speaking role, so there's no non-speakers.
I prefer to do it like charades.
Well, Jim Barber, it's Black Friday. You stood in line for hours to make sure you got that deal. Your wife shows up just as the doors open. You push through the crowd and say, yes, there's one left. The ring light that I've been looking for all year. And as you grip the box and about ready to snatch it, somebody else does too. And there you are in a struggle, two hands on the same last box. And you look up and it's your ex-wife. How do you handle this holiday frenzy?
Oh, Mr. Topics Master. That was going to be such an easy question because I thought you mentioned at the beginning that my wife was coming to the store or something like that. And I was prepared to answer that. And then you changed it at the end to say that it was my ex-wife, which does definitely change things considerably. The situation is I have been married for, let's see now, 38 years. And my wife is in the next room. So if you think that I'm going to discuss ex-wives, no, I'm not as stupid as I look. I'm not going to go down that route at all. I'm going to stick with my one and only wife because she is my beloved. You hear that? She is my beloved, and there is no way that I would ever consider marrying anyone else. Consequently, it comes down to a question of if my wife and I are going after exactly the same item at exactly the same time, what do I do? And again, that's easy. I've been married for 38 years, and the way of doing that is to let my wife do whatever it is that she wants to do, and I will work around it some other way. Am I a coward? Absolutely. But I'm a living coward. And I'm a happily married coward. You hear that? I'm a happily married coward. And so I would not change anything. The answer to your question is very simple. I would grab a hold of whatever it is, the ring light that I am looking for, and I would hand it to my wife. I would even pay for it and escort her out of the building. Happy wife, happy life. Mr. Topics Master.
Thank you, Jim. The key to that is your wife was with you as and witnessing you grabbing the box. It's a little different flavor to it, doesn't it? Okay, we are going to go to Graham Cairns. Graham, as a child, you woke up one Christmas morning and you've been hoping and hoping and hoping and just dreaming for weeks on end for a special gift. And you wake up, you open up all your gifts, and you did not get what you wanted. How'd you handle that holiday, Frenzy?
Mr. Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, the disappointment has stayed with me for 60 years. That I did not get that one special gift that I wanted as a 6-year-old. For 60 years, I've been thinking, why couldn't I have got that special gift? 10 years longer, 10 times longer than I had been alive when I got that disappointment, and it is still with me to this very day. Why didn't I get that present? Oh, I got a scooter with pump-up tires and streamers that came out the side, and I was able to run up and down. That was fine. That was a good present, but it wasn't the present that I wanted above all else. 60 years I have been waiting to get that present. 60 years, the disappointment is still with me. What was the present? I don't remember. I was only 6 years old. How am I supposed to remember that now? But I'm still disappointed. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Graham, for such a great response. Tiger, you can unmute yourself. What is your, going back as far as you can remember or as recent as you can remember, what is your favorite memory of a Christmas?
When I was 7 years old, my father took my brother and I Christmas shopping for my mom. He told us to go over to this one section where they had candles and, women type things. And he went off to get some clothes. My brother was looking at candles and perfume and towels. I wandered over to the sports section. And as I wandered through the sports section, I found a football, American football. I'm used to international crowds, so people think football, they think of soccer ball. No, this was an American football. And I grabbed it off the shelf and I walked back. My brother looked at me. You're an idiot. This is for mom, not for you. My dad showed up on the scene a few minutes later and he looked at me. He goes, is that for your mom? I go, yeah. And he just started laughing. He thought that was the funniest thing he had ever seen. So I got home, I got a big box, put the football in there, wrapped it in newspaper because I didn't want her to get the surprise ruined, excuse me. So she opens the big box and she goes through all the newspaper and pulls out a football. She looks at the football and she looks at my dad. She doesn't look at me. She's like, what is this, a joke? But here is the beauty of this story. In the winter, every time my brother and I fought in the house, she'd come in and hand us the football and go, boys, get out there and play football. Turned out to be one of the best gifts she ever had. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tiger. Thank you so much. Carla, can you unmute yourself?
I can.
Are you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be. Let's go for it.
It's Christmas and there's a huge party that you've been invited to. And everybody's there. That's anybody. There's a mistletoe hanging above the door. and you could kiss anybody there,
Mhm.
who would that be?
Well, thank you, Mr. Table Topics, and thank you to everyone. To think about who would I kiss under the mistletoe? I have to tell you, the second you asked that question, it was the easiest answer that ever could be. I am going to stay in the same vein as Jim Barber because my husband is in the other room and he is also possibly listening. So I will say that under the mistletoe, I will definitely kiss my husband and no one else as he is in the room. As I, as a woman, am also smart, right? And I know the right answer to say in times like these. No matter who's in the room, if I am around anyone, now in my mind, depending on who it is, whether it is Denzel Washington, Tom Cruise, my husband cannot complain about the thoughts that are going through my mind. But who I actually kiss under that mistletoe, it will be my husband. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics.
All right, thank you, Carla. You were feeling the holiday frenzy with that question, weren't you? Okay. We are going to go to our off counter, Andrew Byrne. Andrew, you can unmute yourself.
Unmuted.
What is the very best gift? I'm going to give you a softball. What is the very best gift this year that someone could give you for Christmas?
Thank you very much, Mike, fellow Toastmasters and guests. The best gift that I could receive during the holiday season, since I don't celebrate Christmas per se, is an Apple Pro Vision unit. Now, this is going to come out a little bit after January, but it's a AR/VR system where you can essentially be like Iron Man, how Tony was with his equipment, where you can generate holographic images and work with that. I think that would be an absolutely outstanding gift. And it'll be ready sometime between January and February, I'm told. Limited supply. For those that have not seen the Apple Pro Vision, I encourage you to go to the apple.com site and look it up. What it does is it allows you to have the ability to see movies at about 100 centimeter screen. It allows you to be able to record 3D video and play it back from your phone of your family. There are other things that you can do with it as well, but that is the first thing. You can have conferences and you can have the ability to interact with individuals with their new system, AR/VR. And it's a thing that's coming up very shortly. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Andrew. You know, Andrew, for someone who doesn't celebrate Christmas much, you had quite the gift you're planning. And Terry Kong, thank you for coming back and joining us with your video. Are you ready for a table topics question?
Wow, this is a little bit shocking, but yeah, let's
All
try.
right, that sounds good. Well, I'm going to give you a softball. Okay. So Carrie, what do you do when your Christmas spirit is running low?
What do I do when my Christmas spirit is running low?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening, Toastmasters and everyone. Usually I'm a really high-spirited person, so I have never had a time which my Christmas spirits are running low, to be honest. But definitely, I'm going to do a couple of things. If my Christmas spirits is coming low because work is very overwhelmed sometimes, so I'm really busy in my work, so maybe my boss give me a bunch of stuff to do even during the Christmas, or maybe I'm just running in a really bad mood. So for that, I'm going to do a couple of things which I really like. I recommend you to do. I'm not sure if you will like it, but definitely there are good ways for you to do it. First of all, I'm going to do a HIIT, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that kind of exercise in the past. It's a very, very intense cardio combined with like some running exercise and jumping ropes. It's a very good exercise to keep you high spirited, even though you're going to like have like, big pressure over there. It's going to be a good activity for you to revive your spirit in order to think about the good thing about the, Christmas. That's the first thing. The second thing, I'm going to watch a lot of TV drama and a lot of TV Korean soap opera series, or British, series. Currently, I'm enjoying watching one TV show, which is called Downtown Abbey. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that. Another one is Shakespeare, which is like they came out a couple of years ago. They're also really good TV series for you to enjoy in order to get your Christmas spirits going up during the season. And last but not least, buy yourself some gifts. Go shopping. I think going shopping is the best way to boost up your Christmas spirits. So definitely those are the couple ways I'm going to recommend people to do in order to help yourself boost up your Christmas spirits, even though your spirits are down. Thank you.
All right, Carrie, Kong, what a great job. And I believe that's all our time we have for table topics. And I want to thank, we have room for one more?
Yes, we do.
All right. Carolina. I noticed that you sign your emails as Caro. And you can unmute yourself. Answer this question. For me, it wouldn't be Christmas without go.
For me, it wouldn't be Christmas without my sister's children asking me for gifts. Yes, because when my sister gave birth to my nephews, I'm not sure if that's the word. Perfect. Some things changed about Christmas in my family because they are very happy during Christmas. We used to eat, we used to interchange some gifts, but now it's very important for us to talk about the Santa Claus and deceive them and make them wait outside because the Santa Claus is coming and is putting some gifts under the tree, and they are very, very happy. So for me, Christmas wouldn't be Christmas without the kids in my family.
All right, thank you, Carolina. We have time for one more. Henry Kruger, Mr. Watcher. There you go. Do you lie to your kids and tell them that Santa really does exist? And why would you lie to them if you do?
Mr. Table Topics Master and guests and fellow Toastmasters, I never lie. So it's easy for me. My kids know Christmas Father exists, or Father Christmas, depends on how you see it. They've been told to be good during the year, otherwise we won't see any presents underneath the tree on the beach in New Zealand. So yeah, my kids have been, I've got one boy that's 11. He's got suspicions that Christmas Father doesn't exist, but we still convince him that the Father Christmas comes on the 24th of December, and come and put the presents underneath the tree. And when they wake up on the 25th, then as early as possible, they can open up their presents and have a call with their grandmother and father and so forth in Namibia, and say thank you to the presents that they sent over as well. So yeah, to answer your question, is I don't lie to my kids. They believe in Father Christmas, and I still do believe in Father Christmas as well, in miracles. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Henry. And I want to thank everyone for this opportunity to be your Table Topics Master. It was an absolute pleasure. Madam Toastmaster, Marian.
Well, thank you for a fun holiday frenzy topic session. That was terrific. And I believe everyone qualified. Is that correct, Graham?
That is correct. They all did.
So if you don't remember who your favorite was, go check the chat and you'll be reminded. So thank you for that, Graham. And Carolina will post a link so you could vote for your favorite. Now, one of the things when I mentioned earlier that sometimes people are depressed during the holidays or lonely. Now, this could be somebody who was divorced, who lost a loved one, people who are far away from their loved ones. So think about being inclusive, to invite them over and not pressuring them, but just to be with them. And I think that will also help you. Now, the final section of our meeting is our evaluation section, and this is going to be led by the indomitable Jim Barber. Now, Jim is fantastic, and you are going to just love him as he leads you through this next section. Put your hands together for Jim.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. My fellow Toastmasters, let's proceed in calmly but swiftly into the third portion of the meeting, the evaluation portion. We have 3 experienced evaluators, but in case they're having memory problems, I would like to remind them that their evaluations will be from 2 to 3 minutes. Our first speaker this evening was Kirthikka, and evaluating Kirthikka is Andrei Smolenko. Andrei, take it away.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator, my fellow online presenters, guests, and most importantly, Kirthikka. What a powerful speech on leadership, where you share a story, not even 1, 3 stories. One about 1990s, when all women get together and it was a message at the end of the story. Then you told us a story about yourself, being born millennium, and how curious you were in your walks with creative artists and directors and becoming really powerful team player. And then you end your speech with another powerful, really vivid story about the king, luxury, the birds, and how, in your view, powerful leader, not only powerful, but a kind and wise leader should act. I really like the way you show your passion about the subjects of leadership. I love your eye contact with the audience, and your energy as well. What you bring into your speeches, Kirthikka, I've been watching you for a number of times, is really, really interesting technique where you talk with passion, where you draw our attention into what you want us to understand. Overall, a tale of lucrative leadership, the title of your speech, was a brilliantly chosen one. And your dynamic leadership level 5, I think you accomplished that in a style. I'm going to make a few recommendations perhaps you could find useful for your further speeches. The first, I would like to see a structure where it develops, where you tell us from the outset what you're going to tell us. And then you tell us a story. And in the end, you wrap it all up and you tell us again then the message you want to say across will really stick into our minds, I think, a bit longer. I think number two, I just would like to know what did not go according to your plan and how, as a leader, you found the way to reverse the fortune. For example, when in your childhood or in your student years, that lady said that, and it ruined your life. This is what you thought. However, you found the way. And then you could tell us a little bit more about the hero's journey, because you are the hero of your speech. Despite two masterfully created stories as well, you are the main character. Just want to know a little bit about you more. And overall, congratulations on your level 5 dynamic leadership. It was an engaging, well-constructed speech with a powerful question. So, who are you? Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Andre. Our second speaker this evening was Gregory Bundschoks, and evaluating Gregory's presentation, we are lucky to have Andy Byrne. Andy, take it away.
Thank you very much, Jim, as our general evaluator. Most importantly, welcome to everyone that's here tonight on this interesting night. And I want to say congratulations for all our guests that are visiting with us as well. Most especially, I want to thank Gregory because he gave an interesting speech in dynamic leadership. It was interesting, and it was in a format of information, an information program. One thing that I've been told in a number of lectures, because I'm very much leaning towards information-rich speeches as well, is that know your audience, know the group of people that are attending. As Graham knows, that if he was not pleasing his audience, not generating his speeches that please the audience, then he wouldn't be invited back for a free cruise each time as he does. So the most important thing when you're preparing a speech is, one, know why you're doing it. The second is to know what you're doing it for, who you're doing it for, what's your audience, and how are you addressing that audience to make them happy. Let me give you one or two other things. You had wonderful slides, but as Steve Jobs was fond of saying, that if you have more than 3 words on a slide, more than 15 on the whole thing, then you're overwhelming people and you're losing your point. If you want to maximize the impact of your speech, you have to minimize what the slide is showing, because if you don't, then you're losing people. Now, I understood everything that you were talking about because I have a background in chemistry and life sciences and all that kind of stuff. But I guarantee you, if you were to ask questions of all the audience of what they pulled away in terms of information, they might not be feeling the same way. They may be feeling intimidated. They may be saying, gee, I remember having something about that in bio life sciences when I was in high school, but I don't remember it at all. So the focus is, what is your message? How can you tell it as simply as possible? What is the point or message and actions that you want your audience to come away with? I think if you did that, you'll find much more success. I enjoyed it because you went in depth and really worked hard on pulling all that information together. I think you did a good job. He did an excellent job putting the slides together. But the bottom line is to satisfy the audience you're speaking to. And if you focus on that, you'll be at the next level in your speeches. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy. Our third presenter this evening was President David Carr, and we're lucky to have evaluating David's presentation, Carolina Ramirez. Carolina, what did you see?
Thank you, Jim. David, today was not working in a specific path. However, he had an objective. Make the presentation interesting with accessible and approachable material. David, you excelled at an engaging introduction. You shared a lot of value for us as a Toastmaster. You presented a very illustrative demo, and you are a very energetic and entertaining speaker. I would suggest the following things in order to process better the information in our brains. Since you are given a lot of information, maybe you could share the structure of your presentation with us through an agenda, for instance. Maybe you could tell today we are going to talk about design, how to create a new page, how to choose a pattern, for instance, in order to set the expectations in the audience about what they are going to learn. In order to understand in our brains all what you're sharing with us. The ending was abrupt because you had technical problems in your presentation, but I would use that as an opportunity to engage your audience, for instance, to visit your website or to visit your YouTube channel. Make the most of that technical issue to engage your audience and call to action. It's something like what Andy said before. What you want from your audience, what you want they to do with your presentation. That's the challenge for you. Congratulations, David. Back to you, Jim.
Gracias, Carolina. Mr. Timer, I believe all three evaluators qualified?
They did indeed.
All right, thank you, sir. We will be posting shortly in the chat a request for your vote for the best evaluator. While you are doing that, I will get our reports. I would, in the interest of time, because we're running a little close here, I would ask all of our reporters to please limit their reports to 1 minute or less. Your brevity is appreciated. Let's start with our chat monitor this evening. There she is, Kim Lemming. Kim, what did you see?
Hey there. Chat was a little bit calm tonight. Not a whole lot of people talking, but there was lots of chat about the guest, Carrie Khan's table topics about the high interval intensity, whatever it's called, interval training. And I want to tell you, Kirthikka made a comment that I just loved, which was about how she got an ice cream tub for her kids. Very cool. David Carr likened the table topics to Tony Stark on one of the table topics. Love that. And a lot of people chatted about Murphy leaving me and visiting David Carr during his speech. But I will tell you that unfortunately Murphy is still with me because I am not using that technology I talked to you guys about earlier, because Murphy is still here and with David. So back to you, General Evaluator Jim Barber.
Thank you, Kim. Murphy is omnipresent and omnipotent. He will always be with us, immortal as well. Henry Kruger was our watcher this evening. Henry, what did you see?
Mr. General Evaluator, what I saw was a bunch of lovely faces on the screen, all interested in all the speeches. One thing that I've picked up from Andrew Byrne, his technology that he uses. So when he starts using his hands, some animations or hand gestures appear on the screen as well. So sometimes when he just moves his hands, like a 3 comes up, or the heart. But while you were speaking, there was something else as well that jumped up out of there. And yeah, it's nice and a little bit distracting and sometimes a bit confusing as well. So yeah, other than that, I really enjoyed tonight's meeting and looking at all your lovely faces. There wasn't anything that I can really suggest other than keep on the good work. That's it.
Thank you, Henry. Your face is lovely also. And finally, our combination counter and grammarian were both handled by Andy Byrne. Andy, please give us both reports.
Thank you very much. And I'll try to be brief and be calm at the same time. We had many people use the word of the day, calm, and use it appropriately. Kirthikka had lots of words that were notable. We're talking about participation management. We're talking about noteworthy work. She also used bureaucratic management. She used luxurious lifestyle. So she was doing what we call in the business descriptive languages and painting word pictures. Excellent job. Marianne had a couple of times where she needed to pause more. She was falling over her words, going a little bit faster than she needed to in certain spots. I think that we are otherwise in good position with people using alliterations and other kinds of context in their grammar. But for the most part, everyone did a really good job, and they should be congratulated during this holiday season. That's it. Back to you, Jim.
Thank you very much, Andy. And finally, it is my opportunity to evaluate the meeting as a whole. Our Toastmaster of the evening, Marianne Grady, asked me if I could keep it brief so that we could finish up the meeting a moment or two early. And so consequently, I'm going to simply say that in my opinion, as most of you know, I think Online Presenters is one of the best clubs in the world. And we demonstrated that this evening. I appreciate everybody who attended, everybody who volunteered to throw in and do something. And we just all came together and the magic happened. And I'm simply going to leave it at that. With that, let's see. I do need to call on the winners. Carolina, have you had the opportunity to tally the winners this evening?
Yes, the winners are Best Evaluator, Andriy Smolenko. Best Table Topics Speaker, Kerry Kong. And Best Speaker, Kirthikka. Congratulations to the winners. Back to you, Jim.
Thank you, Carolina. And now it is my opportunity. It is 8:57. I told you I could do it, Marianne. I would happily return control to our Toastmaster of the evening, Marianne Grady.
Well, I certainly appreciate the great job you did as General Evaluator tonight. Thank you, Jim. In closing, I'd like to just say that the American Psychological Association says that nearly 9 in 10 U.S. adults say something causes them stress during the holidays. And the most commonly reported stressors are spending too much or not having enough money, finding the right gifts, missing family or loved ones, having too much to do, feeling pressure to make the holidays special, food or alcohol related issues, not being able to spend time with or be with family or loved ones, experiencing or anticipating family conflict, feeling left out or excluded, and traveling. So one final tip for you all is to put your hand down on your belly and breathe in really deeply. Hold for a couple of seconds and let it out slowly. And just repeat, repeat, repeat. Now, years ago, when my business was failing, I suffered from very, very bad anxiety attacks. And this was the way I managed it. And I can't tell you how much it calmed me down. So I wanted to share that with you because we all feel stress at different times. So whenever you feel that, take a deep breath. I hope you all have a calm and peaceful and wonderful holiday. And back to you, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you, Marianne, for the celebratory program here, for the emphasis on confidence. Because when you talked about putting your hands on your belly, I thought that was to keep your belt buckle from exploding from all the turkey and the pie and the cookies. But maybe you had something else.
Hopefully not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Well, it's coming. It's coming. We don't have too much more business to do, except that we should talk with Carla, because I didn't have a chance to talk with her in the pre-meeting. Carla, what brings you here, and what did you think of what you saw today?
Oh, I thought the meeting was really great. I was very comfortable, and I love that. I like being able to, my hair's pinned up, but let my hair down and feel very comfortable in a very comfortable atmosphere. So I really enjoyed the meeting. I'm in Maryland, about 20 minutes from Baltimore in Owings Mills, Maryland. And I wanted to really come check out the meeting online. And so thank you so much for having me.
And you're an experienced Toastmaster, I take it, right?
I am. I am a member. Okay. I am currently a member of a club, but I was looking to be part of a second club, I really want to really stretch my speaking abilities and learn a little bit more outside of that group.
Okay. Well, part of our focus is we're not just a club that happens to meet online. We are actually trying to promote excellence in presenting online and understanding how it's different too. So for example, we're planning a webinar contest in January to give people an opportunity to compete with a speech that, again, is designed to be given online as opposed to just being given online because of circumstances. So anyways, we have some great people here, and we would love to have you as part of the club.
Thank you.
Which Kim can tell you more about. Kim is responsible for not pestering, I don't think, but gently encouraging people and showing them why, leaving a trail of breadcrumbs in the right direction. And we'd love to get Tiger back here regularly as well.
The word I hear about me is persistent, not pestering.
There we go.
Wrong. Yeah, I gotcha.
Can we get a few words from you, Tiger? And
it was great seeing Tiger back. I enjoyed your last visit immensely.
Thank you. Yeah, it's always fun to be here. I'm always amazed at how good Jim is at not answering a question.
Yeah.
That it's a gift. It's really a gift.
Send that man to Congress. But well, or don't. All right, we don't need you to be the next George Santos. The position is open all of a sudden. And for folks overseas, I'm sorry, that was a New York congressman who is famous for lying about absolutely everything. More than usual. Anyway, Graham, do you have any words to say about agenda for next week?
I'm losing internet, so I'm hoping you can still hear me. Look, the agenda that I'm seeing, I don't think is correct, because it's got Gregory down as a speaker again and Kirthikka down as a speaker again, and I don't believe that's actually the case. But at this stage, the only thing that is on the agenda is Gregory down doing table topics, I believe. We need people to fill in positions. Please go and visit the website, add yourself to a role. I'll be sending out emails. I'll be putting myself down for something. Please choose something and make next meeting a good one.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want to keep you here and torture you. Sometimes it's a little bit uncomfortable when we're putting, will anybody take this role? Will anybody take this role? Will anybody take this role?
Well, I know I will not be here for the next meeting.
Okay.
I'm putting in the newest club in our district, just a few miles from here.
Oh, very good. Congratulations.
My wife is waiting for me upstairs. I'm going to have to go. I'll see you all again from on board a cruise ship on its way back from New Zealand next week.
All right.
Bye, Graham.
I actually have to run as well. Is it?
Thanks, Graham.
Is
Thanks, David.
Anybody want to stay online for a few minutes longer? I can pass you the host control.
Yeah, can you pass it to Kim, please?
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, fun. I'll do that.
Bye-bye.
All right. It was nice seeing everybody again. We'll see you not the 11th, but the next meeting.
Terrific.
Thanks.
Look forward.
Thank you.
See you soon. All right. Bye-bye.
Hi, Kim.
So, Marianne and Kirthikka, we are talking to Henry with questions about joining. So, actually, Kirthikka might be able to help you, Henry. She is one of our newest members.
Okay.
And she's fitting right in. So, do you have questions about what it takes to join? Do you want to stay as a guest for a while? Anything you want to do is fine with us. We just love having you at the meetings.
At the moment is I actually followed your instructions. So the first email that you sent me, I think I might have missed the password, that webinar master for the application form. So to go to your Toastmasters .join, and so after you sent me the last email on the 24th of November, I went through that whole process, and then after the submit, there's once you've submitted, you will receive a confirmation email. I haven't received that confirmation email, and once I click the submit as well, it gets to a screen where it asks for to go through on Stripe to get the payment processing. But when I click on the pay, it just comes up with $0. So that whole process is not working for me at the moment.
So I'm not too familiar with that, but we do have the former VP of membership on here, Marianne. Marianne, do you know how that works? Because I actually don't.
No, we didn't use Stripe when I was in that role.
Okay, so I think what I need to do is reach out to the treasurer, Henry,
Okay.
because I have no idea about that at all.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now,
So
because
I
I'm
will
keen
go ahead
to
and copy
get
you
everything
directly.
done. So there was I can put it quickly in the chat, because I did download the file, Toastmasters. Yeah, the application form, I filled it in. So yeah, so let me do this quickly. So it was supposed to pending. Yeah, let me just put it in the chat. That
Yeah,
would
because
be
Henry, if you can
easiest.
actually just maybe email it to me, I will forward it to the
Okay.
board, because
Okay.
I honestly don't have any idea of how all
Okay.
this works.
Yep, perfect. I will just reply to your email and just say this
Perfect.
is the application form that I filled in. So then you will see also the pay button there. There's nothing, and it says that
Okay.
David is supposed to get an email and then confirm, and then yeah. So that
Yeah,
part
because it
haven't happened
normally
yet.
happens almost behind the scenes for me as a VP
Yeah.
membership. It just literally all of a sudden you have access to our site, and the treasurer
Yeah,
gets.
David has everything automated so well that when you're in this role that Kim is in right now, it's
Yep.
really kind of press and play most of the time. So,
Okay.
sorry for any confusion on that.
No,
Yeah.
it's all good.
And we really don't know what happens behind the scenes, so sorry I
Yeah.
can't answer that.
It's very mysterious.
Yeah, it
No,
is.
it's all good. It's all
But
good.
we're
Well,
very
I'm
excited
happy
to have
I'm
you as a
happy that
member.
you're going to be joining us. That's
Yeah,
kind of cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to get into the system and just
Well,
get
why
back
are you joining? Like, what is your ultimate goal?
to become better on with online presenting and so forth. Yeah.
Do you do
So
it, do you do
that's
it for work, or is it just like a side hustle?
so me and my wife, we do digital marketing, and we are in the process of creating an online course. So yes,
Oh, wow.
What
we
kind of
would like
class?
to. It's for wedding photographers to get
Oh, how
them,
fun.
yeah, to not to teach them how to take pictures and stuff like that, but once if you're a new wedding photographer, to kind of help you into um, how to set up the business. Also, not financial advice, just uh, Facebook, Instagram, all those platforms to just suggest to them where to go. And then hopefully at one point they get a little bit stuck and then reach out to us, and then we can help them further in
Like
posting for them on
consulting.
Facebook. Correct.
Do you have a Facebook page?
We not for the digital page or for the digital course at the moment, so we're still in the process of that. But we do have for our digital marketing, we have one, and I will quickly post that in the chat as well. So,
How exciting. That's very cool. So are you guys photographers yourselves or are more on the marketing side? Oh no, you just picked that niche?
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yep.
What made you pick that?
Well, I have to ask my wife that. So on my end, I'm more in enterprise resource planning. So that's more systems to help businesses get their whole systems in place and so forth. And recently I joined my wife in the business to help her get all the systems behind running and so forth. So yeah.
Okay, so your name of your company is Crew Van. What's the van?
Correct. So my surname is Kruger, and my wife's surname used to be Van der Wat, Van der Wat. So,
oh, gotcha. That's
so
kind of neat. That's a good marriage.
Yeah, so the KRU and the VAN, the first three letters of our surnames, we combined that and then created our domain and the name and all of that. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I was actually wondering if I got your name wrong when I sent out the vote. I was like, oh no, it's Crew Van, not Kruger.
Yeah, now I've had that in the past as well. People once I send them my email address, which is henry@crewvan.biz, then they will come back and say, dear Mr. Crewvan.
Yeah, I was wondering. Then I looked it up. I was like, whew.
No, it's all good.
So what time is it where you are?
It is now 11 minutes past 3. My two lovely boys just arrived back from school. So right after this, I will just quickly give them a couple of hugs and then spend some time with them. Yep.
Very nice.
Well, I'm going to chill and go to sleep.
I remember those days when we had Toastmasters at night as well. So yeah, when I looked at your Toastmasters and it was 1:15 for me in the afternoon, it really worked for me as well. So around the corner, not around the corner, like 40 kilometers from us, but about an hour's drive, there's another Toastmasters. But it will take me about an hour to get there, to drive, because we don't have really good public transport in this area. And so they start meeting at 7:30 at night, and that's going to end at about 9 o'clock, and then there's a little bit of chatter afterwards. So you will get back home like 11:30 roundabout, so it's not a good time.
Yeah, I used to belong to Princeton Toastmasters, and we would get out at 9:30, and it was an hour away from my home, so I'd get home pretty late. And but I loved it. I loved the club, and I kept as long as I lived in New Jersey, I was a member there. But
I think if you get used to it, then it's not a problem. But,
well, I've retired now, so the nightclubs, like going to visit a nightclub, doesn't make sense for me now.
Yeah.
So there's one about 45 minutes away from me, but I've been actually toying with the idea of starting one here where I live in my new community.
Really?
So, I haven't decided whether or not I want to do all the work for it though, because it's a lot of work.
It would be. I got to tell you, I just love the whole online aspect of online presenters. I mean, I just really do. It's been wonderful for me. I've really grown. I've still suffered from technology issues, but I honestly just have so much fun.
Yeah, well, you have the desire to figure them out though, and I don't.
Well, and I have a husband who helps me figure them out.
I have a background, and that's something I'm very happy with just that.
So the whole chat thing tonight, I don't know what happened. I practiced with it last week and it worked. And literally when I was trying to use it tonight, it was not even installed. It's like, where'd it go? And I could see where I downloaded it and installed it. I could see that everything. Yeah, anyway, I have no idea what happened. Yeah. So I just decided to not even try that.
But yeah, you don't want to get a reputation for all the wrong things, right?
I know, right? Well, I already have that, but But so right now I'm looking at the camera, but this is and Marianne, you might have been on when I demonstrated this before, but look, if I look down, it looks like I'm looking at you. I'm not. That is AI on my camera. That is a
Wow.
I think that one's amazing. I love that
right?
idea.
It's crazy.
I might have to have you teach me that one.
Right? So I look down and I see I'm looking now at the screen. I can see that it looks like I'm looking at you. It's like, whoa. Yeah, that one blows my mind.
Yeah, when you showed that to us, I was like, wow.
Yeah, I've only tried the 2 times. So that time and now it's
one of the things, Henry, like what you're doing is I would like to put together a series of like how to do job interviews. And like what I want to do is I want to do a live one where people are on live and they pay a certain amount of money to be on live. And then I want to record it. So it could be like on demand and, kind of an evergreen product, but I have not, that would be a great thing to have for that.
Okay.
So I was like,
It's definitely something that me and my wife can definitely help you with.
Very
because
cool.
we went through a whole course of creating the digital courses. So they teach you everything on how to do it and where to start and creating your list, your email list and all of that. Presenting yourself on Facebook,
the one problem I have with my subject matter is because it's job interviewing, you're not building your audience, because once they find a job, they're gone.
Yeah.
And so it's like the building the list is not really the big thing for me.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I have to think of other ways to keep it moving.
Yeah. So Facebook lead gen is amazing, because Facebook knows when people are looking for jobs and so forth, and they will then, so they will see when somebody is looking for something, or the other alternative would be LinkedIn, because you would go and change
that seems
your
like a more
yes
logical place for me to land.
Yeah. But
I get suggestions all the time about places to apply to, even though I'm not looking at all.
Yeah. How do you do that eyes thing?
I don't want to give people suggestions. I want to teach people how to interview. Because, in my position as an HR, like the head of the HR department, I've interviewed thousands of people and most people don't do it well. So I kind of wanted to give them the view from the other side of the desk.
Cool.
Okay.
So I think that's a skill that people really undervalue these days. And I think that's a wonderful thing to teach. What's your favorite question to ask people?
Why do you do what you do?
Do you know who Stephen Wright is? The comedian?
No.
He was an engineer. He's a very, very, very funny man. But one of the things I remember he always said is, I've always wanted to do this in a job interview. I would like to ask them, if you're in a car traveling at the speed of light and you turn on your headlights, would they work? I just thought that was so funny. He's very, very funny.
Well, it's funny because I hate those kinds of questions for real, because people ask wacky questions. A lot of interviews ask wacky questions, and I think they're silly, but the fact is that people do ask them, so you have to teach people how to respond to them too. But all right, everybody, I
need to go make dinner. But hey, thank you so much, Henry. I will keep in touch. When you send me that email, I'll forward it to the board. We'll get your answers. And so glad to have you joining.
Yeah, welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Kim, just one more question about the eyes. How do you do that? Is that in Zoom or? No,
so I got a gaming computer, and it has an NVIDIA graphic card. And so you have to have NVIDIA. So if you have an NVIDIA, it's not, it's worked for many, many generations of NVIDIA now. And you just have to install the NVIDIA app. And then literally in the app, that's one of the things it says you can have it do noise removal on the audio. And then this is one of the things that it offers. It does background removal, so I don't have to use a green screen. In fact, that's one thing I learned last week. I had been using a green screen and it gets really noisy and it looked really funny above everything. So if I just did the background removal on NVIDIA, there was none of that weird noise in front of the video, and didn't matter if I had it full screen or not full screen. It was just a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I used to use a green screen all the time also, but tonight I'm not, and I feel like it's fine.
Yeah, it is fine. And for me, I know it's cutting off my hair, but I was okay with it because I'd rather have the application. And I'm pretty sure I could have done this transparent. I just ran out of time because I was trying to do the other thing. It didn't happen.
Yeah, I had a different background I was working on and I didn't get it done before the meeting. So
yeah.
The background actually makes my hair look a little bit nicer because my hair is not as smooth as that. Let me just turn off the background. Let's quickly see if that will work.
Yeah, I'll show you.
How do I do that?
That was my other background I was going to use tonight, but I didn't.
Yeah, I had made one, like I made a slide of it, but it didn't work. It said fantastic frenzy or something. It had words on it, but I couldn't get it to work.
So I thought this one was more of a frenzy, but I just find it totally obnoxious. That's why I didn't use it.
Why can't I did just remove it now?
There's my no background.
There we go.
And Marianne, you did a fantastic job. I love when you do Toastmaster of the Day. It was fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
You really did. I love how you interject at each time you talk, and your topic, it was great.
Well, I try to not do the same old thing every time. So we'll see.
It was great. I really liked it.
All right, darlings, I'm really going this time.
My mentor. So when I joined, I was Toastmaster of the Day on my very first meeting as a member, and she taught me how to do it. And I can't do what she does, but I was really happy with what you taught me.
You do a fine job. You do a fine job.
Alrighty, I will send you that email soon.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night, you guys. See you next week.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.